Welcome to the Your Leadership Legacy podcast. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I'm so excited to bring you this next podcast dedicated to you high performers out there who want to reinvent yourself, reinvent your business, maybe your career, all of it. This podcast is all about being dedicated to transformation and being the best possible leader of yourself and others that you can be in order to create a legacy that lives on. Welcome to Your Leadership Legacy. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause. I am the founder and CEO of True You Teams. And here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to the Your Leadership Legacy podcast. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I am just like over the moon excited to welcome our guest Mel Mason to the show today. Mel is the Clutter Expert, and I'm so excited to talk to you, Mel. How are you?
Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here with you. I love you so much. I love being in your energy. So it's such an honor to just share the space with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I gotta, like, for anyone who's listening, Mel is somebody that I met recently, right? Like I met Mel maybe like 7-8 months ago, and I feel like I've known Mel my entire life. I feel like we have known each other for lifetimes and lifetimes because Mel is one of those people that I just instantly clicked with. And I love what you're about. I love what you're doing in this world, Mel. I love how you're supporting people to really step into their leadership. So if you could just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Mel, that would be amazing.
Oh my God, thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah, I am Mel Mason. I'm known as the Clutter Expert. I didn't get the name by accident. I didn't just decide one day I wanted to be a clutter expert. No, I was the cluttered mess growing up. Like you couldn't walk in my room. If you attempted to walk in my room, you were taking your life in your hands. Most people would have paths that went through their room.
Yeah.
My entire floor was covered, like you couldn't see a path. And the only time that my room ever got clean was when my mom got pissed enough that she would do something about it, right? But here's
Yep.
the thing. My mom would clean my room and she'd do a really good job. Like she was super organized, like did a really good job, would get rid of a ton of stuff. But what would inevitably happen? In no time, it was right back to the way that it was. She was pissed off again. And what I didn't realize at the time is that the outside is just a mirror reflection of what's going on inside. And already at such a young age, I was what I call littered with clutter on the inside. Totally just littered. I had so much trauma and loss that happened that I was littered with all this inner clutter that I call it. And it's really comes down to the unprocessed emotions that we carry from the traumas and the losses we experience. And then we have all our limiting programming that we inherit from parents who don't have instruction manuals. And from 0 to 8, we believe everything is true, right? So money doesn't grow on trees, children should be seen and not heard, whatever the story is, we buy it, and that's our operating system, just like the old DOS operating system. It's a little outdated, needs to be replaced and upgraded, right? And then we have like resentments that we accumulate and judgments and fears, and all of that stuff starts to accumulate. And the only way we as humans can actually see what's going on inside is to have it reflected to us from the outside. So it starts to manifest in our environment. And so I experienced a lot of trauma and loss early in my life. My parents separated when I was 4 years old. Sexual trauma. I had 3 different sexual traumas at the age of 8 years old at a really key time by 3 different perpetrators. And one of those perpetrators was my older brother. He was 5 years older than me. And by the age of 15, he actually, for me, I was 15, he was 20, he committed suicide. And in committing suicide, I was already the cluttered mess, right? And he left all of his belongings to me. So at 15 years old, I had to go back into his apartment and go through everything that he owned and make decisions about what I was keeping, what other people could have, what I wasn't keeping. And it was almost the nail in my coffin, because even before he committed suicide, with all the stuff going on in my life, like I didn't really care about living or dying. So I wasn't going to get organized, right? I didn't even want to stay in a body on the planet. And so this was like almost the nail in my coffin. And my high school at the time was like, you need some intensive help. You're a danger to yourself and others, and you can't come back here until you get intensive therapy. And so I got to go live in a residential treatment center for adolescents for like the next year and a half of my life.
Wow.
And unbeknownst to me, that would be the best thing that ever happened to me. Because while I was living there, I was introduced to yoga and mindfulness. And in a nutshell, what that really taught me was how to become willing to look at the inner clutter, that willingness to look and start becoming present with it. And in the willingness to look, that's when it can start to release. But what the magic that really happened was I wasn't trying to get organized, remember? Like, I didn't even want to live, never mind get organized. But as a result of becoming willing to look at the inner clutter, I found myself spontaneously and effortlessly just starting to create order in my environment, in my life. I never scheduled time to clean my room. Oh, I'm going to spend 15 minutes once a week and work on it. It just happened like by accident and effortlessly. So when I put the two and two together, I was like, that's how you keep the clutter from coming back, is have it happen from the inside out. And that's why when people try to clean their closet or organize their pantry or clear off the surface, that if you're going from the outside in, it's why it always comes back, because you
Losing
haven't
weight comes
addressed
to
the
mind
root.
too. Losing weight
Yeah.
comes to mind too, like all
Oh
those
my
things that
God.
we say we want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So when people hear the word clutter, they automatically think of stuff accumulating, but that's just one way it manifests. And I've had all of these manifestations. Okay. So there's the extra weight we carry, there's the body clutter, there's
Yep.
addictions. I was a crack cocaine addict at 18, I was a crystal meth addict and homeless. Then there's like toxic relationships, mounting debt, the debt cycle. I'm too busy, I don't have enough time. All of those things, those are all external manifestations of the same internal condition. And that's why when my clients do what I teach, every area of their life gets better. And like my premise is that it's your birthright to thrive in every area of your life, and clutter's anything that gets in the way of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people think that clutter is physical, like just physical. And so I love that you talk about it's mind, body, and soul. Like clutter comes in all different kinds of things. So if I'm listening to this and I'm looking around my room and I'm like, oh, oh, I got some clutter going on, or I'm thinking like I'm stuck or whatever it is. How do you like, what motivates people to actually start that journey, to start that process?
I think when the pain on the outside has to match the pain on the inside. You have to be in enough pain to be willing to do something about it. And the
Suffering.
magic, the power really comes from willingness. Because when you think about the piles of clutter accumulating, or the weight on the body, or the addiction, what it really is an unwillingness to look. It's like, no, don't want to see you. No, don't want to see you. So you're putting up this big dam. And so the secret, the sauce, the keys to the kingdom is literally just a willingness to look. But it starts from being willing to look within and just stop and take 5 minutes to be with yourself a day. And that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and and even once we're willing to look, I know for me, there was a point in time when I was willing, but I just didn't know how. So I sat back in my corner, still going through the motions of the clutter because I didn't know how or where to get support with. So talk to us a little bit about, when you have a client, when somebody comes in and they're a hot mess and clutter everywhere, whatever that looks like, how do you really begin that process with them?
Yeah, the most important thing is teaching them how to become willing to look, and actually teaching them the process. So the main thing that I teach my clients is a practice called allowing the now. And so anybody that's like, oh, I can't meditate, I can't quiet my mind, great, this is for you. You don't have to do that. This is not meditation, because
Yeah,
I couldn't quiet my mind. You tell me meditate, I'm like, screw you, out of here, right? But what
totally.
I've learned is that the secret is in the willingness to look. And so, what I teach my clients is just being willing to turn your attention from what's going on out here to what's going on in here, and just starting to notice, okay, my mind is thinking, my mind is racing, my mind is planning, plotting, or oh, here's a physical sensation, or here's an emotion, or oh, I'm hearing something, I'm smelling something. Literally, just noticing what's happening in the moment. And are you familiar with that game Whack-A-Mole at the arcade, where the moles pop up and you got the mallet and you bop them on the head?
Yes.
So if you say you've got ADD, I don't buy into labels, but if you think you're like ADD and I'm like, I can't meditate, right? this is
Yeah.
perfect because you get to let your attention go to whatever's calling it in the moment. Oh, this sensation. Oh, I'm thinking. It doesn't matter what's happening. You don't have to quiet your mind. You don't need to do anything but witness your experience. And in that willingness to look, you're making energetic space inside, because the willingness is like this higher vibration, and all that inner clutter is a lower vibration, and a positive and a negative cancel each other out. We know that from math class, right? And
Yeah.
so you're literally making this energetic space. And
Mm.
because the outside is a mirror, as you make the energetic space inside, it starts to manifest outside effortlessly. So there's nothing to do but take
Yeah.
5 minutes a day to look. If you have 5 minutes a day, like, you will generate results like nobody's business in like 6 months.
Yeah, which is amazing. I mean, so I'm hearing you say two things. I'm hearing you say really taking a look at the things that you are pretending not to know, right? I mean, I like that's what I heard from you. I was pretending not to know that I yelled at my kids. I was pretending not to know that I was eating like gross food. I pretend, we pretend to not know all of these things. And so I have to imagine that in that 5 minutes, it's that 5 minutes to go, okay, what am I pretending not to know right now? Where am I really at? And just really getting really focused and aware of where you're at. So that's really amazing. And then when you think about clutter, how do you know, like, physical clutter is easy. You can see it, it's right there. But from a mind and a body, how do I know when I'm starting to let go of some of that clutter?
You feel freer, you feel lighter, you feel more energized, you feel grounded, less reactive. You're opening the flow to abundance in every area of your life. Your relationships are getting better. You're making healthier choices about what you consume with your mouth and you consume with your mind, and who you give your energy to. Money starts flowing. And I literally manifested a $50,000 check that allowed me to launch my business. Like, I
Yes.
mean, amazing stuff happens, like, all and it and what's funny is that it's so subtle that you almost don't even notice it, and you need to have a conversation with somebody, be like, oh, wait a minute, that's shifted, this is changing. Like,
Yeah.
how you relate to people, it's like, it's so powerful because every area of your life gets better, and it's not always the clutter that happens first, so
Yeah.
beware.
Right. Yeah, yeah, I think that's so amazing. So when you think about your vision, right? Because you're up to big things. You already shared with us some of the trauma and stuff that you had as a child, and like my heart was like, oh, right. There's a lot of stuff there. And so my question is, I mean, you have a big vision. Talk to us about what your vision is
Yeah, so
and where
I've
you
always
come from.
been So I've always been had a really deep connection to spirit, God, source, whatever you want to call it. And one of the only things that kept me alive going through all the trauma that I went through was knowing that someday it would benefit others. I didn't know what it would look like. I didn't know I would be the clutter expert. I just knew and trusted that someday it would benefit others. And my life has been about following the breadcrumbs of spirit, I call it. And so, thought I was going to be an energy healer, thought I was going to be a yoga teacher, all these different things that then led me to my business, but it keeps evolving. Then I was introduced to leadership work, and I came into a leadership training program. And once I walked in, I was like, wow, this is like next level of what I get to do with my clients and really impact millions of lives, rather than just on a smaller scale, having this small coaching business where I'm coaching one-on-one in small groups, really being able to impact the masses and allow my experience to really benefit the world so that we can actually have peace on earth.
Yeah, it's I always say it's like the answer, right? Like this work, the work that we're doing is really, I know it sounds cheesy, but I feel like it's what I believe, not I believe it's what's going to save the world. Imagine every single person on this planet going through really taking themselves on so that their outsides match their insides.
Mm,
Like it would be a
yeah.
much different world.
Yeah,
It would be.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's so, since I've got into the leadership world, and I mean, it's only been a little over a year that I entered into leadership training and decided I wanted to become a transformational trainer. And hanging out with people that have done leadership versus hanging out with people that haven't, it's a whole different animal. And, hanging out with people who haven't done leadership, there's this oftentimes there's the victim mentality of, oh, life is happening to me. I have no power. I have no control. And once you go through leadership, you understand that you are the sole generator of your life experience. Like, you create it all. Like, you're not responsible for wars, but if you have war going on inside of you, you're contributing, you're causing and creating that. And so that level of responsibility and ownership is so different in having conversations. Like, if you're late for something, not saying, oh my God, it was the traffic. It's like, oh, you know what? I get to own that. It's so different.
I'm laughing because there's a million times in the past where I use that as an excuse. Not anymore. Up until now, I don't use that anymore. But yeah, like owning your stuff, owning and being responsible for how you show up is what I'm hearing you say. Yeah. So when we think about legacy, Mel, I mean, I love your vision. It's big. We have a lot of things planned together. I adore you. Talk to us about your legacy. Like, when in 20 years or 50 years, when we're talking about Mel Mason, the Clutter Expert, what are people going to be saying that you created?
Created peace and freedom and joy, and unleashed people from the bondage of their suffering. Just committed to doing whatever it takes to support people in their healing from their pain and their suffering so that they can really access their birthright. We were all born to thrive. Doesn't mean we don't experience sadness and pain and have grief, but we were born to thrive. The creator of this universe and universes, like, is joy, is love, and we have 24/7 access to that all the time. It's just the stuff, the clutter, the pain, all the sadness, all the repressed emotions that just gets in the way of that, and teaching people how to be willing to be present for it so you can release it and you can access that joy, that abundance, that vitality. Because I believe that we can actually live a lot longer than people think we do. I want to live to be at least 200. I want to break the age record. I actually believe we don't have to experience a physical death. We can actually ascend as well, but that's a whole other conversation. So legacy that I'll be living is vibrating off the planet rather than going underground.
I love that. I love that. You are such a bright light in this world, Mel. I'm so thankful for you and so grateful for you. And I love what you're up to. So tell us where we can find you. So if I'm out here and I'm looking around my room and I got clutter everywhere and I'm stuck in life and I need Mel Mason in my life, how do I get a hold of you?
Well, the best thing to do first is download my book, Freedom from Clutter, for free at freegiftfrommel.com. That gets you on my mailing list. I'm constantly teaching workshops, and you can respond to any email and it comes to me directly, or you can just email me at info@decluttering-spaces.com.
Amazing. Amazing. Any final last parting words that you'd like to say?
Yeah, there's one requirement to get free from clutter in every area of your life and thrive. That is your presence. Your presence is required.
I love it. I love it. I feel like I want to dive into presence with you, but that's another podcast.
We got lots of talks coming up, baby.
We really, really do. Yeah. Presence is a gift. And so often we're so busy in this hectic world that we forget to just be present with where we are. So I love that. So yes, find Mel. She's amazing. Hook up with her, connect with her. She's going to definitely change the world. So thank you everyone for listening to Your Leadership Legacy. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Mel. Mwah.
You got it, baby.
My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. Check out our programs and events at trueyouteams.com. And until next time, make it an amazing day.